Welcome to Warrior Money, the show devoted to supporting our brothers and sister veterans. I'm Patrick Murphy.
And I'm Dan Kunze.
Today, we're sitting down with Erica Liermann, a U.S. Army veteran and founder of Dub Fitness. After serving her country, she brought her passion for health and wellness into civilian life, creating a space where women build strength, confidence, and community. From just a handful of members to a thriving fitness family, her journey is inspiring. Please welcome to Warrior Money, Erica Liermann. Erica, welcome to Warrior Money.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, Dan, I always start off with the bluff question, the bottom line up front. Why are you on Warrior Money?
I am on Warrior Money because I'm a veteran, a small business owner, and somebody who just does not sit on the sidelines. I run a women's gym, Dub Fitness, where we focus on building real strength, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. I've seen firsthand how movement saves lives. And as someone who served, I'm committed to helping others, especially my fellow veterans.
Yeah, and as you served with distinction as a military police NCO in our Army, and then you became obviously a entrepreneur, owning your own business. What gave you the confidence to take the plunge into entrepreneurship?
To be honest, I always say that it was my Army values, right? Like learning to be a leader, having integrity. And I knew that I had something that I shouldn't kind of keep inside. It would be selfish of me to keep it. So I wanted to share with my community the ability to be healthy in a fun way, to almost to my detriment though, because I wasn't charging in the beginning. I just wanted people to exercise and work out and learn to love it.
We talk a lot on this show about mental and physical health and how that really is the foundation for anything that you do after that. Can you tell me specifically how that relates to the female community or the women community that you support?
So, I mean, the female community is intricate, if for lack of better words, right? So we are emotional. We take on a lot of roles, wear many hats, and a lot of the time we put ourselves on the back burner. And a lot of women don't want to talk about that or just kind of write it off as like, oh, it's just part of the gig. Well, it's not part of the gig. And so there's a big sign on my door when you hit the handle and it says, you just did the hard part. I'll take it from here. And essentially it's drop all your baggage at the door and hand it to me. And that's the difference, I think, between myself and all of the other gyms around. You know, I've been around 11 years now, and I've had the same members for 11 years. And it's because I don't just talk about it, right? I show them, I get down with them, and I can equate it to a push-up analogy. I don't look at you and say, come on, you can do it. I am literally on the floor next to you telling you that you can do it. I mean, there's been tears shed in there, laughter, anger, all kinds of stuff. And it's just really kind of tapping into that like female internal, I don't know, like fortitude, I guess, in there is where how I can connect with women.
Yeah, my wife is she works as well, and watching what women do that have to work as well as like care for kids and have babies and all that stuff. So you've had a few babies, and you've also gotten back into the healthcare industry. How talk to me about that transition for you from military service to family to having kids to coming back into the healthcare community and healthcare world.
Oof, talk about identity crisis for a little while there. So my kids are 3 and 2, so I'm very new to motherhood, and I honestly never thought that I was going to have kids. So I was in crazy shape, doing all kinds of insane fitness activities. I mean, I did a mile of burpees to raise $10,000 for
That's
T
ridiculous.
Foster. Yes, and I expected other people to like jump on board and do it with me, and so that didn't happen. But they were there to support me. But those are things that I could not really empathize with mothers at the time. I mean, our earliest class was at 4:45 a.m. And when people would cancel last minute, I really would give them a hard time. And then I got pregnant and, you know, I found out that I was pregnant and I was like, yes, I'm going to lead this awesome, you know, like pregnancy workout. Well, I got so sick. I didn't even exercise for 8 months. I had to wear a heart rate monitor. It was like the antithesis of all that I had planned. So I had to kind of back up a little bit. And this is where I'm really thankful for the military, right? We're always lifting and shipping and you have to adjust fire. So I kind of wrote an apology letter. It was like the public community letter to my people. You know, now I understand, I can empathize. And I actually handwrote cards to some of the former members, letting them know, hey, it is different. I understand now. And then it changed, I guess, the way that I handled my business. I started caring a little bit more deeply about timing, and now I have a mommy in me class. And so in the beginning, when I talked about not just physical fitness, but mental fitness, right? Like we are exhausted and we are touched out by the end of the day. Like I tell my husband all the time, he comes in the kitchen, he's like, what can I help you with? And I'm like, you're asking me another question. Like I just do something, And so that is kind of where us women, we get to we get together and we strengthen ourselves by being around like similarities, and we understand that we're all the same. We're all in this fight together, and here we are getting stronger, and it's just therapy.
Yeah, I think it's great. You created this tribe, and you left one tribe, the U.S. Army, what I like to refer to as America's varsity team, to create your own tribe, in suburbs of Philadelphia, and it's growing. But you've also helped create another tribe of business owners, veteran business owners, through the Greater Philadelphia Veterans Network. Tell us about your role there and helping others elevate other veteranpreneurs.
Yeah, so the Greater Philadelphia Veterans Organization was a really the catalyst that kind of threw me into the veteran community here in Philadelphia. And I wasn't really sure what to expect. And as I told Dan in a conversation a few weeks ago, I did not have any help opening my business. I had no idea that the VA offered loans. It was just all bootstrapping, opening up credit cards, maxing them out, tapping into my Vanguard, all kinds of things where I'm kicking myself now for doing that. But at VBRN, I got to share that story so that these future veteran entrepreneurs won't make that same mistake. I'm not afraid to talk about failure or what I did wrong, as long as it will help others, improve or be successful. And there are other veteran, personal trainers and gym owners in the area that I'm happy to help. And some people are like, I can't believe you're helping the enemy. And I'm like, there's enough money to be made by everybody. And I
That's right.
can't train everybody, nor do I want to. But I also believe in karma and taking care of each other. So whether, you're my enemy in the business sense, you're still my brother or sister in arms. We still bleed the same blood. We, supported our country. We fought for our country. And I just kind of believe in community and helping each other out and good karma.
No doubt. I mean, it's not about fighting over a slice of pie. It's create a bigger pie. But what about some of those mistakes, Erica? Walk us through some of the. I know you rattled a few off, but walk us through so our viewers could hear. What are some of the mistakes that you made that you didn't leverage the opportunities that were out there?
Well, number one, like I said in the beginning, not opening or taking out a loan, not even like a bank loan. So I won't name the credit card, but it was like 19.4%. And again, and I'm not going to say that enlisted people aren't as educated, but we don't we don't have we're not left we don't leave the army with the skills. Okay. So maybe the army's better now. I'm an old lady. So I think that they're doing a better job of preparing people. But I just kind of left the military and was like, all right, like credit cards are easy money, kind of thing. And it took me a long time to pay that off. And then not really having a business plan. So I knew that I was really good at physical fitness, and I knew that I could yell at people, and I knew that I was not afraid to be vocal, but I really had no end sight and goal, I guess. And listening to one of your other shows, someone had a 200-year plan. And I was like, holy crap, like that's kind of how I operate now. But I wish that I had somebody mentoring me and saying, hey, have a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan. How many members do you need to make a profit? Because for the first 5 years, I was just paying the bills, and I couldn't hire anybody because I didn't have any money to pay them. And then I was going to school on a GI Bill, and I was using the GI Bill to pay off my debt, and it was just a mess. So when I talk about, the failures, these are all things that I list off, because had I been able to save that money or take out a proper loan, I would have started making money earlier. Not to say everyone makes mistakes, and maybe I'm better for it now. But I wish that maybe there was like a little financial angel on my shoulder kind of thing. Hey,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, I think that's just a great story. And I think part of the reason why we have Warrior Money is because there's always a new generation of people that need that mentorship, that need a bit of that distribution. I refer to it as transitioning from a lifestyle business to kind of an enterprise or sustainable business. And that's kind of the journey that it sounds like you went on. What was the transition point from you from taking it from kind of the left side, which is let's just pay my bills and survive, to like, let's think about this over a period of time. Let's reinvest back into the business. Let's grow this to a scale that works. What was that transition like for you?
Well, if we are being completely candid, it
Yeah, we
was
should be.
a
It's only
divorce.
me and you.
Yeah, yeah. It was a divorce and COVID simultaneously that kind of sprung me into action. It was either I'm not gonna do this or get off the pot. And so I talked to my financial investor and I said, I want this to be my career. I want to be successful. I don't want to just make ends meet. I want to live the life that I dreamed of. Not necessarily a life of luxury, but maybe leisure, making my own schedule and being able to leave when I want to leave. And so we sat down and then the world shut down. I mean, literally, it was like weeks later. And I was like, well, okay, is this a sign? Like, should I not be in this business? And then I told him, I said, I want to launch a second business. And he was like, what do you mean? And I said, I think that I can run two simultaneous businesses right now during COVID, and we can kind of use this my benefit. So we launched an online app program where in my one bedroom apartment post divorce with a couch and a TV, and that's all I had in there. I just started recording myself doing exercises and my commentary and just talking, and people laugh at me because I'll have conversations and then answer myself. And I do this out loud in class and they love it because they just, I don't know if it makes them feel like, holy crap, these are the thoughts I have in my own head. But then more and more people just started hopping on these videos to just listen to me talk. And it was during COVID. And then at one point, I turned it into tea with Coach E. And so I would just sit there with my cup of tea and we would just talk. And then I would say, I'm so stretched. And so, not only did my business, my physical business survive, but now here I am launching this online platform, which is still around, I still do it today, not as much as I would like to. It's just very time consuming, but it's interesting when people talk about how all these gyms shut down during COVID. And I'm like, man, like that's when I thrived. And I don't know if I should feel bad or feel like, hey, like I have worked my butt off to sometimes my detriment and sacrificing family time and things like that. But now I get to, pick up my kids and stay home with my boys on Fridays. I don't have to work, all the time. It feels really good.
I would say it's the latter. I mean, the fact that you show that tenacity of that never quit attitude, that kind of the military ingredients in all of us, and then you've brought that to the private sector. So we're taking a quick break, and we'll be right back more with Erica Liermann on Warrior Money in just a second. All right, welcome back to Warrior Money. We're joined by Erica Liermann. Erica, you are passionate about Dub Fitness. You are a veteranpreneur after serving in the military. I look at the problems that you're helping solve, not just in suburban Philadelphia, but across the country, especially when you look at the obesity and overweight crisis we have. Right now, 70% of Americans are obese or overweight. Why do you think that is, and what do you propose we could do about it?
Ooh, so this is a question that I'm actually asked often, and it's led me to start a new program for the GLP-1 users, actually. I'm opening my doors we're going to call it a free trial period where for 3 months, we're going to have meetings, kind of like AA, I guess is the best way, to kind of discuss this, right? So getting other people's opinions, because a lot of people come down to, we're so busy, it's cheaper to not take care of ourselves.
Yeah, the easy button.
And then to which,
Right.
yes, exactly.
Yep.
But to which I respond, if you don't take time now to be healthy, you're going to have to take more time later when you're sick, right? So hospital bills, staying in the hospital, people not having paid time off for that. So what I taught for 1 year at my degree as an education, and I taught the Philadelphia Military Academy. And part of what I really tried to bring into the school was, eliminating detention and sending the kids to my classroom. And we were doing yoga and talking about diet and talking about nutrition, because that's where it starts. A lot of my clients who are 40 plus will say, I'm of a generation where we just diet when we have an event and then we just eat, whatever we want. We do the Atkins, we cut carbs, but really it's the whole body that we need to be preparing for, right? So when you're under 18, you're training your metabolism. And so if you are feeding your metabolism, foods that have plastics and chemicals and poisons in it, one, you become addicted. So food is a drug essentially, right? So when we think about what is being offered to people, especially like low income families, they don't have much option, right? They're essentially in a food desert. Um, so I think what the education piece is important. And I don't know that there's many health and physical education teachers like me who volunteered to show up early to take on detention to change it into something else. Hopefully somebody wants to do that. But that's what it's going to take. It's going to take small steps in early education. And, Michelle Obama started it, right? She kind of like started making noise and she's been a really big inspiration. And I would quote her often. And it starts with the kids, and even
Yeah.
in my house,
Yeah.
my husband, he took the kids from McDonald's once and hid it. Not hid it maliciously from me, but I saw it in the trash can, and I was like, "Why are you even taking from that? There's no reason." I went crazy for no reason, but it is. I just don't. It's an addiction, and so when little kids learn early that food is a treat, you shouldn't be rewarding with food. You shouldn't reward with cupcakes and ice cream. Have those on special occasions, but when your kid does great in school, reward them with a new pair of shoes or with an activity or with an experience. And it's part of, when I work with my student athletes, I always say, don't treat yourself with a food item, right? Like give yourself a Pandora bracelet and add a charm each time you meet a milestone.
Yeah.
So it's just making smaller habits. That's a long answer to your question, but I think it starts when we're young, and it's up
But
to our parents and leaders and stuff. Yeah.
there's two things you said there that I think are really important. One, we talk a lot on this show about time and how that compounds your money and your interest, and you compound time, right? But the healthy decisions you make also are a compounding effect over time, right? So if you're eating poorly in your 20s or your 30s, it becomes a problem when you're in your 50s or your 60s, and time starts to create more of a lasting impact there. Do you see substantial changes in people's behaviors when you start to educate them? And if you do, how does that like work with the folks in that GLP group that you're thinking about as well? Like, can you talk a little bit more about that for me? Because that's all the rage. Everybody wants to do like the GLP, but I'm like, is there a psychological change that also has to happen? Like, what does that all look like?
Yeah. So it's a choice, right? So we talk about there's no easy fix. Well, now we've found one. There is an easy fix. But it's not sustainable to use that easy fix forever. And so what I am offering is the explanation on why, along with this GLP-1, you need to have exercise, right? You need to build muscle, especially for women. Like you asked about the women in my gym. Bone density for us is going to start to deplete much earlier than it is for men. And so lifting weights is scientifically proven to be the single source of increasing bone density, right? So avoiding osteoporosis. And so teaching people how to eat as a lifestyle rather than a diet. So, the diet mentality is absolute garbage, for again, lack of better words. And I'll straight up tell women that, like, we're not going to do 30-day diet challenges here. I'm going to just say you can eat whatever you want. Just make sure it's good food. You don't have to count calories or count macros. And with the GLP users, I know that it affects appetite. So it's really important to ensure that you're getting enough protein, right? We talk about, putting money in the bank. Like that's food is
Yeah.
the money in the bank for your body. And you can spend all the money in the world on cosmetic surgery and plastic surgery, but that's not going to fix internal organs. It's not going to fix the visceral fat around your kidneys and your liver or your heart. So a lot of what I want to do for, I guess, free for this next 3 months is just educate these women and convince them that investing in yourself is paramount. You say that you have a village to take care of and you don't have time for it. Well, when something happens to you, now who's taking care of your village?
Yeah.
You've left them hungry, and
And I would
So I
say to
think, like,
Erica, I would
that
say I think the beauty of what you're offering is the fact that you're basically saying what we call in the Army the performance triad. Like, yes, exercise, eat right because food is medicine, and then recover. I have to go though. We are one are dying to know about the Ruff Ride. The VA for our struggling brother and sister veterans does not provide service dogs to them, even if they're on the struggle bus. What is the Ruff Ride, and why is it so important to you and so many of us?
So Ruff Ride is a 24-hour spin relay located here in Philadelphia. It's also in Pittsburgh, and we are expanding to New York next
That's
year.
awesome.
It's phenomenal. But what it is, it's you don't have to be in shape to do it. Is the first thing I like to tell people. You don't have to be a cyclist. You don't have to be a spin studio. Waving your ponytail everywhere. You just have to want to support veterans. And so what it is, we raise money to provide service dogs, accredited service dogs to injured and disabled veterans at no cost to the veteran. And that also includes vet bills, any discrepancy with the dog or any issue that the dog may have, because we don't want the veteran to have to choose between their own bills and then taking care of this service dog. It should not be a burden. It should be something that's their life-saving tool. And as you know, or most people know, it takes up to 2 years and $35,000. And it's also not even guaranteed that that dog will be fit to be a service dog. And then you have to go through the process again and all of the money again. So what Team Foster does for one of their events, the Ruff Ride, is we raise money for that. And what's really, really special about it is that those veterans who have been partnered with dogs are there, and they get to share their story across a 24-hour period. They'll come in and you get to meet them. And I have never used double negatives. I've never not cried when I hear their story, even though I've known these people, they've been in my home,
Yeah.
but hearing them on the platform, speaking about it when they were scared to leave their house is just pretty remarkable to see it.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
great.
listen,
That's
I know for the Ruff, Dan and I are going to be doing the Ruff Ride with you. I know it's in Philadelphia. We appreciate what you're doing, and
Pittsburgh.
especially with Team Foster, Eric Foster, who was killed about 8 years ago, served in the 82nd Airborne Division, Duquesne graduate. So thank you for what you do with Ruff Ride. That's RUFF Ride, and the nonprofit Team Foster. Dan, take it over.
All right. Before we let you go, we're going to do word Q&A. First question. First question. What's the one piece of advice you'd give young Erica Liermann when you were leaving the military that would make you successful, make you more successful now?
I would have applied to college, a good college. I would have done my research instead of making my mom kind of kick me out of her attic and go to the first college that would take me in. So yeah, definitely education. I would have put that first and foremost.
And what's the one piece of advice you'd give an aspiring entrepreneur that you know now that you wish you knew when you were younger?
Find a mentor, a big, famous, important one, and ask, right? So don't be afraid to start asking at the super high level, and, keep asking until someone tells you yes. Don't just do it on your own. There are people who want to help, people who want to invest, and who want you to succeed.
Erica, thanks so much for joining us on Where Am I? We appreciate you. We appreciate your leadership, and we appreciate what you do for our brothers and sister veterans. You can follow Erica Liermann on, obviously, social media, or Ruff Ride, or the nonprofit Team Foster, or her business, Dove Fitness. Erica, thank you so much. All right, that's our show. So listen, subscribe, and review Warrior Money on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. Or find us at Yahoo Finance. I'm Patrick Murphy.
And I'm Dan Kunze. We'll see you again next week.
This content was not intended to be financial advice and should not be used as a substitute for professional financial services.